Hello, everyone. I'm Connie Stewart with simplysimplestamping.com, and you are watching a new Tuesday tip video. Hey, friends, today we're going to be learning a fun technique called the triple time stamping technique. I've got some tips. If you've ever tried this one before, I got some tips that are going to kind of maybe be a little bit of a game changer when it comes to this style of card. We're going to be creating some great layers, some great dimensions with this technique. It's easy and it's fun. Let's go get started. I absolutely love creating cards with the double time and the triple time technique. Now, I said that I had two different methods to share with you. So we're going to do double and we're going to do triple. And there's going to be two different methods as well. So we're going to actually be creating both cards today. I'm going to start with this double time technique. This one's really pretty, created with the Sweet Citrus stamp set. So let me show you how we're going to create this. First, I'm going to start with the supplies that you need. No need to write any of these down because I've got a free download for you that's going to have your measurements, the supply list. Everything is going to be here. By the way, if you need to come back and watch a refresher on how to do the technique, you can either click here or you can scan that on your smartphone and you'll be able to watch the video again. Click there to order any of the supplies. But guys, everything you need is right here. You're going to find that at simplysimplestamping.com or in the YouTube description. You're going to find a direct link. All right, cardstock. I've got pumpkin pie. This is cut 4 1/4 by 11 inches, scored at 5 1/2 to create my medium-sized card base. I have 4 pieces of melon mambo. I have a 4 by 5 1/4. This is a 3 1/4 by 4 3/4. I have a 2-inch by 3 1/4 and a little square 1 3/4 by 1 3/4. I've got 3 pieces of basic white. These two are exactly the same. They are 3 1/2 by 4 1/2. And then I have a little 1 1/2 by 1 1/2 inch square that's going to be for the sentiment on the front of the card. The star of the show is the Sweet Citrus stamp set on this one. I love all things fruit, and I especially love lemon. We're going to do a fun random technique, stamping technique with this, and we're going to do that starting with just 1 piece of the basic white. We're going to start with a crushed curry ink pad for this, and this is a 2-step stamp. So we're going to have one that's kind of an outline, and then we're going to come in and add the lemons in the center. So the outside of the lemon I'm going to do in some crushed curry. So I'm going to ink up my stamp, make sure that lemon, there's a full-size lemon right there, and we're going to stamp that just right here at the bottom of our cardstock. Now we're going to stamp this again, but obviously you can see we're not going to fit all of that in there. So I'm just going to get a little random here. I want another one of those big lemons, and you know what? Let's take this one right here, just so I can give myself just a little bit more. I want to try to fill in as much as I can. And now we're going to use some Daffodil Delight for the inside of the lemon. So that is this stamp right here. I love 2-step stamps. It gives me great detail in cards, and it doesn't make me color. And I kind of like that sometimes. So you can see how this is just going to fit right inside that other image. See that? And this is going to be a little bit lighter of a color. Look at that, very nice. Now I'm going to get, let's see, here's that big one, and I stamped that one here. And it looks like I've got like one of my little half slices right there. Now I want to go ahead and fill in just a little bit more because I really do want this solid. So I'm going to do a little bit more with the crushed curry, a little bit more with the daffodil. I think I'm good there because I'm going to be doing some other fun things to fill this in, because we're going to come in now with Parakeet Party, and I'm going to add some leaves. I want to get some bright colors going on here, and I'm going to use this leaf stamp to fill in. All right, so I'm just going to kind of randomly going around these edges. See how it's just giving it a nice burst of color? Very lemony. To add to this whole random technique, I'm now going to come in with the flowers, and I'm going to stamp those in black. And you can see I'm going right over. I don't want to go crazy with this. This is really just kind of just adding a nice little accent to my card. I love the little bit of black ink mixed in with those bright colors. And this flower stamp also has some centers to those flowers. So I'm going to stamp those in black. You can see it's getting two of the little flowers. Now I have this other little center for those larger flowers. All right, so now it's time to bring in the paper trimmer. And like I said, this technique is very different from what you've probably seen before. So I'm gonna take the 4.5 inches and put it up here at the top of my paper trimmer. And I'm gonna put the edge of this right here at the 3/4 of an inch. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut to the 1 3/4 inch mark, and I'm gonna zoom my camera in. And can you see here on my paper trimmer, I can see there is the 1 3/4 inch mark. Slide that down to the 1 3/4 inch mark. I'm going to lift this. I'm going to rotate this around, and I'm going to repeat that. You notice it's, I shouldn't say rotated, I flipped it over. Let's now cut once again to that 1 3/4 inch mark. All right, so you can see we have these two little cuts. I'm now going to set this side, and I'm going to put that at the 1 3/4 inch. And we're going to line up our cutting blade here, and we're just going to cut in between those two pieces. And you'll kind of feel, you'll feel that cardstock give way when you come in contact with the bottom edge. And you know, it looks like I may have missed just a tiny little bit. I can bring in my paper snips. This does happen sometimes, not a big deal. So there we go. It has trimmed that away. I'm going to set this off to the side, and I'm going to cut this down just a little bit. So it was 3.5 inches. Let's take it to 3 inches, and I'm going to cut off that and that. Guys, this is, I'm telling you, this is the quick and easy way to do this technique. We're now going to come in with the pieces of the melon mambo. We are going to adhere both of these down. And don't worry, we're going to be hiding that. You're not going to see that, but it's really going to give the appearance of that double time technique. It's now time to add this to the card base. My friends, we are going to center that up on the left side, kind of lining it up on those 3 sides. Now this is the one that's going to go right here. Can you see how that lemon is matching up? We're just going to kind of make sure we can kind of see the direction that lemon goes. And do you see how that hangs off? It's so great. Now I'm going to do that with some Stampin' Dimensionals, because dimensionals really make a difference when it comes to this technique. Now, if you've never even seen this technique before, typically we do layer upon layer, and we stamp, and you know, sometimes it's kind of hard to stamp with those little edges hitting it. You're not getting that really good image because it's not sticking, or it's not adhering right down. I shouldn't say adhering, but your ink isn't really quite adhering to the cardstock. So I can see, I'm kind of looking, I've got a leaf, I got the edge of this flower, I can see the round there of my lemon. I'm going to add that right there, and look at that. Looks like I did a fancy technique. All I did was cut. That is all I did. Now let's do a quick little sentiment for the front. I'm going to take the little 1.5 inch square. I'm actually going to make this more of a diamond shape. I'm going to say, thanks a bunch. No, yeah. I want to clean this flower stamp. This was the triple flowers. And here's the thing. I want to add a couple flowers to this. So I'm just going to use this one right here. And can you see how I'm just hitting the edge of the flower? We'll stamp a flower there. Cute, cute. Let's do one here on the other side. Of course, we want to come back in with the little center of the flower. There we go. Guys, you can color this any way you want. You can use your Stampin' Write markers. You can use Stampin' Blends, whichever you happen to have handy. You could even use a blender pen and just pick up some ink on your blender pen using that crushed curry. But there we go, a couple little quick flowers. We're going to add that to that other small piece of Melon Mambo. I'm going to add this here, and I want you to see I only need one Stampin' Dimensional right here on this side. Just right there, and then I'll put a little adhesive here so it can stick to this layer. Watch this. So adhesive here, dimensional there. You can see that great dimension that I have. Let me bring in my original. I also came in with the black and white gingham ribbon. Again, just kind of pulling out that black color. I think it looks really nice. I just added that with a mini glue dot. And guys, really quick, I'm just going to show you what I did on the inside, sending you a big squeeze. That's what you're going to do with your remaining pieces of cardstock. And just like you saw me do with the flower, I just inked up the lemon and put that right down there at the bottom. That is a quick and easy double time. Now I'm going to teach you a triple time technique. Again, we're not going to use lots of layers. We're going to create layers with just one piece of that cardstock. And check out this fun card. Holy guacamole, it's your birthday. I had a lot of fun creating this one, and I'm excited to teach it to you. So this one, again, I just used one piece of basic white cardstock to create it, but I allowed my dies to be the layers. So it's nice to know if you have the dies, you can do this. But of course, like we did here, all we needed was our handy dandy paper trimmer, and we can still create this great technique. So, on this card, I did use the decal rectangles, but you could also use your stitched rectangles, whichever one you have or whichever is a favorite here. Now, the star of this card is definitely Taco Fiesta. This is created by a dear friend of mine, Erica Serwin. This was her $1 million stamp set, and it is fun. This is going to be a great one for the guys and for the girls too, but especially for the men. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring in some more of that grid paper, and we're going to stamp randomly. And let me bring this in again, guys, so many options. We've got tacos and chili peppers and avocados and burritos. You got it all. So let me, I'm going to go ahead just to kind of save some time. I want to show you what it looks like when it's done. By the way, this piece of cardstock is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And you're going to need 2 of those for this card because we're going to need one on the inside as well. But I did go ahead, I stamped all over it, and I used my fabulous Stampin' Blends to color it all in. Very nice, relaxing. You remember before we used those flowers to fill in. Well, this time I used the little mustache and the eyes. I just thought it was fun. It was a really neat way to kind of bring in some more of that black. Again, get that to pop, and it filled in some of my white space. So it kind of served double duty. All right, now that we have that, I'm going to show you how we're going to do the triple time technique. So I'm going to bring in a piece of basic black cardstock, same size, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So a quarter sheet, same size. Now we are going to start, and again, like I said, I'm going to be using my deckled rectangles, and I'm going to lay these out so you can kind of see how this is going to work. I'm going to take the largest die, and I'm going to put that one here on my stamped focal image. I'm going to take the next size die, and I'm going to put that on my basic black. Taking the next size die, that's going to go here. We're going to just repeat that again. Do you see what we're doing? So we're just working our way down. I'm going to get another one here and another one here. And you're going to keep going till you have no dies left. So we have used all of those deckled dies. Just remember, you want to start with your stamped image, and you're going to end on the basic black. Now I'm going to run these through my die cutting machine, and I want to give you a tip here. They do need to be all centered up. If you are not comfortable with that, start with the largest and work your way in and run them through separately. I would rather have it be right than to have you mess with all those dies, making sure it all gets correctly centered. So take your time, do whatever works best for you. We're going to run all these through. If you've missed any of the measurements, not to worry, because I've got that free download for you. You can go over to simplysimplestamping.com, or you could just look down in the YouTube description. I've got a direct link to my post for today where you're going to be able to find that download. Print it, save it to your computer, whatever works best for you, but you'll have the measurements, photos, the supply list, a link back to this video if you need a refresher. It's all there for you. Be sure to go download that. But now we're going to go and take all those layers. Let's see what we can do to put those together and create an awesome card. All right, I've got everything cut. We're all ready to go. Guys, I actually did cut one more piece, and this is the smallest die there is. I want you to cut one piece in just some basic white. That's going to be for our focal image there in the center. That's where we're going to stamp our holy guacamole, and I'm going to do that at the end. But here's all this mumbo jumbo of mess, right? So the first thing I want to do is I want to take the outside edge. This was the 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 of both the black and the stamped. We're going to get rid of those. We don't want those. So now we're going to start with our next piece of basic black. And I want you to see how it created a perfect little frame right for inside my image. So you can see that those two are going together. Now we're going to bring in the next one, and you can see how those are going to go together. Let's bring in our next one, and you'll see how those are going to go together. This one we actually don't need. Now, why didn't I use that? Well, because I use Stampin' Blends, it bleeds through. This is also something we're going to throw away. There are our 3 layers. Now, what I want to do now is I want to adhere these together, and we're going to do this smallest to largest. Now, you can use your favorite adhesive. Here, I'm just going to use just a little bit of multi-purpose glue, and I'm staying right close to that deckled edge. I'm going to center that up. You got a lot of wiggle room with this, so even if you didn't cut things straight when you die cut it, it's fine. You're going to be just fine. See how I adhered that together? Let's repeat that now with this piece. Again, I'm just staying really close to the deckled edge of the stamped piece. And you guessed it, we're going to do the same here. Now, the trick with this double time and triple time technique is that we have to have dimension. So we're going to be using Stampin' Dimensionals to build this. But I found starting with the multi-purpose glue to adhere everything down just made a world of difference. I prefer to have pieces that are easy to work with. All right, there are my 3 pieces. Now, real quick, I just want to I'm going to line these up because I want to make sure I put everything together in order so it has the look of this triple time stamp technique. So I've got these in order. I'm going to bring in my card base, and that is in Poppy Parade 5 1/2 by 8 1/2 scored at 4 1/4. So you can see how this is going to go onto our card. I actually need to start with the center. And do you see how I layered these on top of each other? Well, guess what? I'm actually now going to do it in reverse. So watch this. We're going to go backwards like so. And so the first thing I want to do is I want to start with my smallest piece. Now, that's kind of hard. How am I going to know exactly where that's going to go? So I'm going to be using these to kind of be a guide to help me. So this one is going to adhere right down onto our card. So a little bit of multi-purpose glue. I'm not adhering it down. I just lightly laid it on there. But now I'm going to lay my other pieces, and that's going to give me that ability to wiggle that around. Oops. Yep, I'm just going to kind of wiggle it until I get it set right where I want it. I'm just going to kind of give it a little look-see-loo, make sure everything's good. I like that. All right, that piece I can adhere down. All right, that, trust me, that was the hardest part of the entire card. Now we'll come in with our next piece. And guys, for this, we're going to bring in the Stampin' Dimensionals. And I'm going to add 3 to each side, and then let's go ahead and add 1 to the ends. All right, I've removed all the backings, and guys, this part is very important. Let's make sure we have it right side up, all right? Because again, can you see how we want this taco to kind of continue, this bowl of guacamole? See how it all just kind of looks like I've stretched it? Do you see how we're adding that layer? But what was cool is that we didn't have to do 3 separate sheets of basic white cardstock and all those separate pieces of the black. Nope, just 1 of each. And we stretched our cardstock. That saves us money and it saves us time. All right, because goodness, that's a lot of coloring, right? We wouldn't want to do that 3 times. Now for this last layer, I need to pop it even more because this is like big time popping going on here. So I'm going to layer Stampin' Dimensionals together. So you're going to adhere 1, remove the backing, and adhere another one because we need this to be double. And I want you to stay near the outside because when we adhere this, I want to make sure those dimensionals are there on the outside of this, of the frame. And I should say, if you don't want to add quite so much layer, maybe if you're just worried about mailing it because it's just too much layer, this could easily be a single layer, all right? Feel free to just do the one layer. It's just going to adhere down to this layer a little bit more, but it is fine. Don't stress over it. We don't stress in stamping, but I do love the looks of the double Stampin' Dimensionals. All right, can you see how nice and thick those are? Again, let's make sure we're right side up because it would be awful if it wasn't, right? We're gonna add that to the front of our card. Oh my goodness, it's kind of, whoa, it just is an amazing look. Now, right here is where we're gonna put that sentiment. Remember I had you cut that one extra one? It's gonna go right here. So let's go ahead and stamp that and color it very quickly. Before I stamp it, I wanna make sure I know what side needs to be face up because I want it to fit in that space because this is not correct, you see? It's not lining up. So we wanna make sure we have that straight. I'm gonna bring in my Memento black ink pad. I will bring in my sentiment, holy guacamole, and I'm going to stamp that here at an angle on the right side because I want to make sure I'm going to have enough room for my beautiful bowl of guacamole. And I'm going to color the bowl with my bronze Stampin' Blend. So I'm just going to give this a quick color. For my guacamole, I'm going to use the fine tip of my old olive, and I'm just going to trace the top of the little details here of my guac. And now with the light, I'm just going to blend. The Stampin' Blends, if you're not familiar with them, what's awesome is it's an alcohol-based ink. And so what it does is the light is going to blend right into that dark and give us that amazing detail. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, I want you to notice I also had my grid paper underneath me because it does bleed through. We don't want that. Not on our table anyway. By the way, here in your free download, I've got all of the Stampin' Blend colors that you're going to need for this project. We're going to bring in, yes, some more Stampin' Dimensionals. 3 ought to do it on this one, just right down the center. We'll add that right to our card. Isn't it great? I'm going to bring in my original because I want to share with you what we did here. So I just did, I had another piece of basic white. Guys, you know the drill. I just die cut using the deckled frames again. And you know what? Actually, I believe I sure did. I think I cut down this piece to get myself that background, and it's a straight edge. Stamp that cute little cactus in a sombrero. I just thought it was such a fun card. And don't you just love, like I said, don't you just love all of that fabulous dimension? I'm going to go ahead and bring my double time card. So you've got your double time, your triple time. And guys, like I said, what makes this technique so unique is that we only used just one piece, not multiple pieces, but we were still able to get that fabulous look. Thank you so much for joining me today. Hey, if you have not subscribed to the channel, why not click the subscribe button so YouTube can let you know whenever I'm back with a new video. I share every Tuesday and Thursday here at Simply Simple Stamping. We'd love to have you join us. And if you like the video today, you like that card, would you give me a thumbs up there on YouTube? I always appreciate that. My friends, I hope you have fun creating the triple time stamping card. Go create it and send it to someone. Go encourage someone today. We'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.